YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host TKK and we are back with another video. Guys, we're going to have timestamps in the description of this video. This is going to be the expectations portion right now. So let me just talk to you about what you can expect and what we're going to be doing here. This right here is an Alienware pre-built system. This is the Aurora R12. I bought this computer almost 3 years ago. I bought this for my child that is a college student who's living dorm life, okay? 3 years ago when he graduated high school, this was one of the gifts that I gave him or provided him for his accomplishment of graduating high school. My son had at that time, or years prior, actually got himself a scholarship to go to the school that he's going to now. And so I wanted to make sure that I put him in a position where when he went to school, he had a capable system. And if you've been following the PC community, about 3 years ago, it was really hard time for you to be able to buy graphics cards at a retail cost. So going the pre-built route definitely came out to be something good. Now, some backlog to this particular system has been featured on my channel maybe 2 or 3 times, okay? The first video, we did a deep dive, opened it up, took a look at it, and I just kind of gave you my initial impressions. It was my very first ever, and still to this date, the only Alienware desktop that I've ever owned. I've had a few of their laptops. The second video, however, I'll card that in, right? On whatever side this comes up. I actually invited my son at some point, gave him a small segment in the video and allow him to be able to talk about what his experience was like. Because at that video, the second one, we actually did some upgrades to this thing. And the updates and the upgrades are still here. I think I featured it again. I don't know, but right now what we're doing is pretty much a re-review, okay? So my son, before this, I had pre-built systems for him and my other sons. I have 5 sons total, 4 of them older, where I've pretty much for the last few years had all of them on custom-built PCs. I pretty much handed them down whatever, older hardware that I had or older GPUs and just bought all new processors and such. My son is currently rocking a version 2 of the H1 from NZXT with the 3080 or 3080 Ti. I can't remember what I put in his system. In any event, he's using that. It's a smaller footprint for him to be able to be more mobile, but it's adequate and stronger than what he's got in here. So this guy has been pretty much collecting dust. I thought it would be pretty cool for me to revisit this, bring it back to my channel, as this is all about TKK, and we do get into a lot of different things. Recently, we've been talking about Blu-ray content, things like that. You can check down that rabbit hole if you like. But this is going to speak for what it's like if you have owned a pre-built system from a company like Corsair. This is obviously Alienware or any other company. There's a lot of companies where you can buy pre-built computers. I get asked all the time, do I build myself or do I go out to pre-build? And it really depends on who you ask, to be honest with you. Now, as someone that is, I will say, tech savvy, I know how to build my own computers. I'm pretty comfortable, excuse me, not convenient, but I'm pretty comfortable around the space of part selection and the manufacturing of like my own system and getting it together and doing drivers and all of that stuff. But I am a parent, and a parent first I am, right? And so for the parents out there that might feel like, man, you know what? I don't want to entrust in somebody to build, or I don't want to deal with the wait time. I just want to buy something pre-built and I want to know how it holds up. This is what we're talking about today. So this video, as I said, is going to have some timestamps. Feel free to dive deep into them because there may be a bullet point and that might get you to a place where, you want to be. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about this PC and, what I'm going to be doing with it. And at some point, I'm going to talk about how I'm going to use it going forward because my son is no longer using it. It's collecting dust. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time re-reviewing this Alienware Aurora R12 right after this intro. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So let's start from the top. I got this thing a couple of years ago. And the motivation behind me buying it was it looked really cool. I really liked the design of what this thing was. And like I said, I've made content about it before. And so if you want to see more of the deep dive, tear it apart type of stuff, I do have, I think, some pretty solid content around that just to let you know what's in this. Alienware has apparently gone away from these styles. I've done a little bit of research to see what's on the market now. So you can't get this exact style of a case. So what you might be looking at from them is going to be different. Nonetheless, this is, again, just to kind of give you a bit of an update of how it's been holding up, okay? The system has been pretty nice. And like I said, I bought it because the aesthetics were pretty cool. It's got some nice different illumination that comes through this oval shaped design right here. And that does come around to the left side of the case also, where you see the words Alienware, right? So there's a software that runs on here, and it's very similar to some of the third-party softwares from like Corsair, Razer, and SteelSeries, etc., where you can customize the illumination to be what you would want it to be. Now, this system has an 11th generation Intel i7 processor. Again, it's 2023. We're on 14th generation now, so 11th generation. Typically, every year you got some new content coming out. It's got plenty of USB ports and connectivity that's on it. So you got, this one had 3 up front with a USB-C with a couple of jacks for microphone and headphones, so some segregation there. And then when you go around to the back, it's really where this thing shines really well, because there's a ton of USB connectivity options there. I think at one point I counted and it was total like 14. What we got? 4, 8, 12. Yeah, I mean, so pretty close to that, right? A lot of port connectivities. A lot of these are like super speed, and then some of them are going to be USB 2. We do got another C back here, and all different types of connections that you want. What I also like about it is it's just custom. When you think about Alienware, typically the kids, they when I say the kids, like I have kids that are adults, 23, 22, 20, 21, right? I have kids that are adults, but still the kids, they love the brand. So the brand means a lot. So for those of you that might stumble across this, maybe you're my age, older, maybe some younger, and you're looking to invest in your child something, you're wondering, hey, can I get Alienware? And you might Google it, and you might find some top-notch PC gurus, because there's a lot of people out here that are super technical, and they have the right reasons to challenge a company like this about whether or not they make or don't make a good product. Well, I'm not here to really bash them. I'm just here to be honest with you and tell you, hey, I've had a pretty good experience with this thing. As I said, it is collecting dust, and so we are going to be utilizing it to go forward with how I'm going to use it, right? So at some point in this video, I'm going to kind of customize it and edit it where I'm going to show you what I'll be using it for going forward. But my son, he used this thing and had no issues with it. It covered him with all type of school works. He did some gaming. So the type of graphics card that's in here, we got an RTX 3070 mid-tier GPU. You always pair the GPU with the monitors. So if you're looking to get something mid-tier, don't expect to get the highest fidelity type of TV or monitor to go with it. You kind of have to match those two up. But this isn't like a tutorial video. But this thing held up really well. He was able to connect 2 monitors for the entire duration of when he was using it. Did things like coding, did gaming, did just like the general run-of-the-mill school work. And I mean, everything that came with the system was just really remarkable. Now, I did purchase myself a 3-year warranty on this thing. And if it hasn't passed, it's almost going to pass, right? But I definitely recommend that. One of the things that I personally do not like dealing with these type of systems, pre-builts, is if you have some issues from the manufacturer. Now, one thing to keep in mind, there's 2 pieces about a computer. There's software and there's hardware. And believe it or not, a lot of the issues that people have are going to be software stricken, which isn't covered by hardware defects. So what the manufacturer deems are defective from their shop typically isn't going to be software, just because there's so many different things that you can get yourself into from a software perspective that could make your system feels like it's just totally broken. Okay, if the virus or the software is on the hardware, which is the hard drive, then that can make everything else run slow. But when it comes down to a hardware perspective, when it's like if you drop it, if you spill something on it, or dare I say something mechanical like the graphics card, which has blades on it, ends up breaking, I personally want to be able to get that taken care of. And because my son was a few hours away from me, I wanted to make sure that, hey, if he had any problems, maybe he'd be out without his system for a couple of weeks, but he'd be at minimum, he'd be able to take it to a repair shop so that they can send it off, fix it, or credit us to do something so that we can make sure he's good. So again, for the parents, for the people that are guardians, maybe you're buying this for a grandchild, a child, or just a younger loved one, or even yourself, this is where I would come in to play at. If you're not very comfortable with being tech savvy and diving into, modifying things and tinkering around with, fact finding whatever the issues could be, I definitely would get a warranty on this thing. But this system has held up really well. It's been pretty damn remarkable. So I've had it in my custody for about, I want to say probably 8 months now. It's been about 8 months since I built his recent PC, and I took this thing from him. Might have been a little bit longer, okay? But I don't have the exact time, but it's been pretty good. And so I haven't used it as a main driver. At one point, I did have it in my bedroom. I put an arcade cabinet in my bedroom because I'm kind of crazy like that. I have a nice size master suite, and I had a freaking arcade cabinet in there. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put this thing in here because I was on this kick where I was like, I'm not going to have things just sitting around that I'm not using. But I ended up not really using it. I played a couple of games. It was nice to get out of the bed to be able to play some Street Fighter on this thing. But as I keep saying, I'm going to say again, later in this video, I'm going to get this thing set up so that you can be able to see what's possible with something this dated now and with these type of specs, because everything that pretty much is going to be at this level of performance today is obviously going to be stronger. Then we have 30 series graphics cards. Now we have 40 series. Then we had 11 generation processors. Now we have 13, 14 generation processors. Then we had DDR4 series RAM. Now we have DDR5 series. We have higher frequency DDR4 series. So the components are going to be faster. They're going to be bigger, more robust. They're going to be able to produce more productivity, higher frames, better graphical fidelity. Everything's going to be better now versus what I got then. So for me to be able to show you real time how I'm going to set this up to have an enjoyable modern experience, I think might be very helpful. So if you got comments, questions, leave them down below. We're going to keep the content rolling. Be right back. All right, guys. So listen, if you haven't already discovered, if you're skipping past the taking it apart piece to get right here, timestamps are important. I'm shooting this with just a few transitions just to get my points across, and then just breaking the content up instead of multiple transitions just to get the talking points there for you. This is a pretty important video for me because as I've been doing this YouTube thing seriously for 2.5 going on 3 years, outside of TVs, which is my niche on this channel, PCs is definitely like at the forefront of what I'd love to be doing, right? So I had the idea to just make my channel about everything that's about me, hence all about TKK. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing taken apart, right? And so taking it apart is pretty simple. Now, again, I've made content on this, so I'm not so focused on the execution of me showing you how to do that. Not that I'm trying to self-promote other content that I've made, but it is there for you to watch, and it's purposeful. And, I think that it helps you. But to make it simple for you, there's one screw on the back of this thing, okay? Right? One screw, just took that off. And then there's this latch. Pull that latch, and it releases the side of this. I want to show the moms and the dads. I don't know how many parents will see this, but this is kind of what this is catering towards, how simple it would be to take something like this apart if you were, if you were kind of wanting to, I don't know, if you were just interested in seeing, how this works and everything. Let me just get behind this camera so I can see what kind of shot we have here. Just gonna shoot this real vlog style. I'm gonna pull this a little bit closer to you, right? You can pause this at any point, but all the guts are in there. So my opinion, Dell, Alienware, which is their gaming division, kind of its own entity, I think they did a pretty good job of, putting a computer together. Now, we made some upgrades, and we shared what those upgrades were. They had just a small little fan that was exhausting. They had one stick of RAM where we have two. So they had one stick of RAM that was 16 gigabytes. There's an opportunity there. So I still have 16 gigs, but dual channel. It does run a lot better for multitasking. The one cooler that they had from factory there, I put a $60 Corsair H60 cooler there. So water cooled, right? Something that's self-contained. Doesn't take any kind of maintenance. So got that installed there. They had a fan that was exhausting up here. The radiator that is attached to this, all this came together, guys. Put it right up top and everything fit. I haven't done anything else, nothing else to the system. Still got the same, still have the same exact graphics card that's in there. It's a Dell Alienware RTX 3070, so nothing too fancy. And there's a mechanical hard drive that's in here, behind in this vicinity over here. Let's see if we can get a better shot of that. It's right over here in this area. They've got the cables ran for that. And then they've got some openings down here where I'm pointing at for you to be able to put some more drives. Lastly, where Windows is tucked at, there is a drive that's on the board. We call that an M.2, right? So one SSD, one mechanical. So there was some room for opportunity within this system. As far as the upgrades, I mean, the cooler was $60. The RAM was like $90. I mean, it's not even like a high name brand RAM. And that's all it took for me outside of the investment to get what I needed to get. Now, I could have bought a better configuration from the store with this system, but I didn't think it was really worth it just because I know what I know about computing. And even telling you that I'm a person that's very comfortable in this space of doing things like this, I still bought a warranty. So definitely invest into a warranty, because if you get in there, you tinker around with something and you destroy something, hey, guess what? It's an accident. It's covered. So I definitely champion that for you guys. All right, so got this thing put back together. There's nothing I really needed to put together because I didn't really take anything apart, but that's pretty much what we're looking at. This thing is pretty badass. And while I could conclude this as one video, I'm actually going to just keep it going. And as I said, give you my final talking points to this. I think it was a great investment. I'm glad I got it. We continued on to get my son something better that I put together. It has my own stamp on it. And this is still a reliable system that I can use for, let's say, even my 8-year-old son now, who isn't ready to have a PC right now. By the time he's ready, something like this still would be adequate, but I'll have something different. But I have an idea in mind what I would like to do with this, because I think this is a pretty remarkable system. I know it to be. And so there's so many different things that you can do, right? So let's just transition things as to like what I'll be using this computer for now. So continue to use the timestamps, right? Because we're going to transition things over. So I'm a content creator, obviously. I have this tech channel and I have a gaming channel I'm trying to develop. It's Street Fighter with TKK. If you want to follow, it'll be in the description. I did try to do a giveaway. I couldn't really hit my goal. So listen, we're just going to grassroot it and just let the community support as they want. And I'm going to start putting more content to it. This PC is going to be a part of that because it's going to encompass me playing video games and being able to capture that content, right? And so, this computer, because it has such a good foundation for me to be able to walk on, I want to get this set up and show you kind of how I'm going to utilize this thing, right? So we're gonna make some transitions, right? We have more content. We're gonna keep shooting. Hopefully you've made it to this point of the video because I think we got a little bit more to entertain you on in regards to this, right? So how we've had this computer for almost 3 years. We've used it for gaming and for a child to get through some college courses. And now how an older man in his 40s can create some content going forward with this. This is what you want for an investment. And by the way, I think I paid about $1,700 for this thing, right? So for me to still be able to use it, as I said, for me to game and now for me to get ready to content create is pretty darn good, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get some things set up and we're going to come right back in the next transition.